All right, so this is the review of EOC 7, which you were supposed to do last week. And this number here is irrelevant to this class. This is another class. So I'm just going to work through these as quickly as I possibly can. And that way you don't have to watch more video than you need to. It says if you drag races, then he drives a car. We're talking about the inverse. Remember, converse, inverse, contrapositive. Converse is like your shoes on the wrong feet, so that's the flip. Inverse is the negation, and in contrapositive is both. You flip it and negate it. So for the inverse, it's the negation. So you're going to take this, put in a knot, take this, put in a knot, so you get knots in both of these. Hue, knot, drag race, hue, knot, drive car. So you can see that is the B answer. Supposed to be the B answer. Okay? We'll leave it at that. The next question, if it is raining outside, then it is wet outside. That's the converse we're looking for here. Again, remember said, flip the converse, negate the inverse, do both the contrapositive. So the converse is you flip, you switch the shoes on the wrong feet. So the wet's going to go over there, the rain's going to come over here, and that looks like it. Answer A. So those should have been easy questions for you. Like I said, that number is irrelevant to your class. I just didn't go back and work through all that. Symbols, just try to be really careful with these math symbols and stuff so that you don't mess up an easy question. We have the P statement is wear a coat. You have a Q statement, you will not be cold. Then you have this argument, if you do not wear a coat, then you will be cold. And you're supposed to say who is who. So when you look at this right here, the if part, the condition of this statement, you can see that you do not wear a coat is not P. Think about it. P is wear a coat, so not wear a coat is not P. And then the second one, the conclusion, says then you will be cold. Well, that's related to Q, but it's not Q, because Q says you'll not be cold, and this says you will be cold. So this is not Q. It's the opposite, or the negation of the Q statement. So not cold is will be cold. And so you can see that not P implies not Q. And so that answer is B. Not P implies not Q. And that's what the arrow is, in case you've forgotten. It implies, or hypothesis and conclusion. This is a tricky question. A lot of people have trouble with this one. Words mean so much. We speak English, but yet words mean so much. A survey was done on the type of pet students have at home. The Venn diagram represents the sample space and subsets. The shaded area represents the students that have a blank. And a dog and a fish, dog or a fish, dog and a fish, not a cat, dog or a fish, but not a cat. So you can see the last two here are really close because they're both not cats, but there's a little more to it. So looking at this space here, if a student owned a dog and a fish, then it would be this whole area right here, because those students right here have a fish. They're in the fish circle, and they're also in the dog circle. And remember, for the and to be true, they have to both be true. They have to have a dog and a fish. For the dog or a fish, then it would have been this whole area here for a dog or a fish. Because you can have a dog or you can have a fish. It doesn't matter. You get to have one or the other, and it still be true. So neither of those are going to be accurate for the question that we have. So it comes down to the C is the right one, because the C says a dog and a fish, but not a cat. Now, as I've already said, this is a dog and a fish here. It's a dog and a fish. They're in the dog circle and they're in the fish circle, dog and a fish. But when they put in the but not a cat, that means you have to take this piece of that whole thing out, because not a cat can't be in the cat circle. And so it's only this piece here, which is why that shaded piece is the C answer. Just got to watch those. They're tricky. And if you get in a hurry, you're going to miss unnecessarily. You just would. Another hypothesis conclusion type question where we've got symbolism. So we say, consider the following true statement. P implies not Q. Which of the following is a valid conclusion? This goes back to something that we talked about where a statement, it's converse, inverse, and contrapositive. These two have the same truth value. These two have the same truth value. That's just how it is. If that's true, then that's true. If that's false, then that's false. That's just how it works. So that's what we're dealing with here. So let me go here and do this. So in other words, a P implies not Q statement. The converse is the flip, which is not Q implies P. The inverse of that is the negation, which is not P implies Q. Think about that. Negate. And then the contrapositive, you do both. So you're going to bring this, you're going to flip it and negate it. So it was already a negation, so now it's an is. And then you bring this one over and negate it. And you look at those, if this is the original statement, then this has to be the one that is also true. And that's the C answer. Nobody should miss these questions. Nobody should miss a question like this. We worked through these back at the beginning of the semesters, chapter 1, 2, I think. But nobody should miss these. So what they do is they give you this bunch of lines, A, B, C, D, and they got a transversal M. And they want to know who's parallel. And you've got some options down there as to who the parallel people. And a lot of students take a problem, I know, I've seen it too many times, take a question like this and start looking and go, oh, they look parallel, oh, they don't look parallel. You can't go by looks. I mean, you just can't go by looks. You dealt with that so much in the classroom. You can't go by looks. What you can do is go by numbers. Math doesn't lie. So if that's 65, then that's 65, because those are vertical angles. If that's 65, then that's 115, because they have to add up to 80, because they're supplementary, they're a linear pair, and 115 there. And so that's 125. Let me change color just for ease of recognizing who's who. And so this one would be 55, because they got to add up to 180. 55, got to add up to 180. Let me choose another color. So it's 55, and that's 55, and that's 125, and that's 125. And then the final one here, that's 115, and so because those are vertical. And then that one is 65. So what you end up seeing here is that you've got the A and the D that are parallel. Now, who saw that when you looked at the picture? Probably not. But according to the math, that's how it's supposed to work. Also, the B and the C are parallel, according to the math. Okay, so you can't go by, so it's A and D, which is the A answer, and B and C would have been parallel, but that's not one of the A, B, C, D options. So the answer is A. Numbers, go by the numbers. Don't be afraid to do that. It only took me a minute, and I'm talking to you while I'm doing it, so you can do it quicker than that, actually. Here's another question that has some similarity to what we just did.